The quality is not great. How's your quality?
Oh, you look fine to me.
Okay, cool. Yeah, this is not good on my end, but that's okay.
It looks great on my end.
My internet has not been great, so it's probably me. Okay. Okay, welcome. Thank you for joining us. I'm Sarah Paxton from Assured Marketing Solutions, or AMS, and my team is called the Glam Squad. And this is Liz Hansen. And thank you so much, Liz. Liz is the owner and founder of Million Dollar Studios and Chicago Boudoir, and was a family photographer for several years. So let's jump right in. Liz, can you tell me about yourself and your business just briefly before we get into the good stuff?
Yeah, and thanks for having me, Sarah. It's so fun to be here. So I started out like a lot of people. I had a baby and then I had another baby, and I was so in love with those babies. I wanted to take pictures of them all the time, right? Got a camera, took a few classes, started taking some pictures, posting them online. And what do you know? Other moms would say, hey, those pictures of your babies look great. Can you take some pictures of my babies? It's a story like a lot of other people have, I think. And so I just started kind of slowly starting a little family photography business. And when I say little, I mean because I was only taking maybe one session a month. And I wasn't charging very much. It definitely wasn't a full-time gig for me, but I loved it. It was a passion. I'd studied art in college. And so I did that kind of part-time like that for several years. At the time, I lived in Austin, Texas, where it's warm, and I could do outdoor pictures, basically year round. Take you out to a field, take a beautiful picture of your family. Then my husband got a job offer in Chicago. We moved here. It turns out it is cold here in Chicago. I don't know if you've heard that, but in Chicago, it's cold, right? And it's snow. In fact, today we've got like 4 inches of snow coming down. So there are just fewer days of the year that you can take outdoor pictures in Chicago. And I needed a job, so I ended up getting a job. I wanted a photography job. I loved photography at this point. I felt like I was pretty skilled at it. So I ended up getting a job at a local studio that was indoors. In Chicago, we do things indoors most of the year, right? And at that studio, they did something called boudoir. Now, if you're listening to this and you've never heard of boudoir, it's just a fancy French word that means a woman's bedroom. But what a boudoir photo shoot means to me is coming to a photographer to have a Victoria's Secret style photo shoot experience, create some beautiful sensual pictures. It's empowering, it's fun, it's confidence building, and you can create a good gift for somebody. So that's how I kind of got started in the boudoir world. Sarah, I know that boudoir is something that's like new to you too, right? Have you recently it's kind of recently, I think, become more popular?
Yeah, I was somewhat familiar with it just because my husband and I have been married for like 18 years and it comes up, but really it's been through you and talking with other photographers about the purpose of the photos. And what really resonates with me is, number one, the confidence it takes to get into the studio and actually book something like that. And then I met with one of Liz's students at Million Dollar Studios last weekend for a shoot for headshots. And she was just emphasizing the really amazing stories that people have coming in. And nearly all women who come in have been through something. And just hearing that, like, makes my heart kind of explode, and it really boosts the value of those photos. So in terms of business, the value of that moment in time or moments in time for a family during the year, that's significant. But when those handful of people get into the studio, the value of that booking increases because of that powerful moment. Is that something that you've experienced?
Yeah, absolutely. So I got this job at this studio that did some boudoir, and then I ended up doing my own boudoir photo shoot. So I hadn't heard of boudoir really. It was like something that was like really new to me. I'd never done anything like that, super out of my comfort zone. But I signed up for a boudoir photo shoot because as a photographer, I was like, there's no way I can take pictures of women in this vulnerable way if I've never done it for myself. So I signed up for my own boudoir photo shoot. And listen, I was shaking in my boots. I was so nervous to do it. I'd never done anything like that before. I went out and bought some new lingerie. And I had an experience in my first boudoir photo shoot that was really transformative. I really felt like I had done something that changed how I viewed myself, how I viewed my body. And I realized from my own boudoir photo shoot experience that I wanted every woman to have a confidence building experience like this. Like I felt different walking out of that photo shoot. And since then, I've done like 10, 15 boudoir photo shoots. I'm kind of an addict now. I love doing it. But that first photo shoot experience opened my eyes to what this experience can do for women, because you see yourself in a new light. You see yourself in a way that maybe you haven't ever experienced yourself before. And besides that, it was just a lot of fun. It's like playing dress up for the day. So I had that experience. I loved it. I worked at that studio for about 3 years. I had a great experience. The woman who owned the studio was fantastic. After about 3 years, she relocated out of the area and I was out of a job, and I decided that I wanted to open up my own boudoir boutique. So my own studio. So this was my first time really running my own business. I didn't grow up thinking I would be a business owner. I didn't have a lot of business experience. But I took the leap, rented a commercial studio, and started my own place. And when I did that, I decided to specialize just in boudoir because I knew that I wanted to provide this confidence building experience for women and really specialize. So before that, I'd, taken on weddings and bar mitzvahs and family photos and all headshots and all kinds of things. But when I opened up my studio, I decided just to focus on this boudoir experience, to really focus on helping women feel empowered and confident, get really good at taking those kinds of pictures and leave everything else to the side. And that was a personal decision for what I wanted to shoot, but also a business experience, because I knew that if I could find one niche and get really good at it and focus all of my messaging and all of my energy and all of my marketing on one specific thing, that I could be successful.
Yeah, has that niche focus been something that you've seen other photographers be successful in? Say, for example, I love lifestyle photography, and that's my niche. That's where I'm going to focus all my marketing. Can you make a living in Chicago just being a lifestyle photographer?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So there's a lot of different ways to be successful at photography. And I'm never one who's going to say to you, there's only one right way to do this. There's only one way to make money. However, I have found talking to people that when you pick a niche and really stick with it and really nail down what you do, you will be, here's the thing. As a photographer, you have to be in the same room as someone that you're taking pictures of, right? Like that's just the nature of photography. So it is a one-on-one experience no matter what, right? You can only shoot one bride at a time, right? You can't be at 10 weddings on the same Saturday, right? You can't give your all to 10 women at the same time for boudoir, right? This is a one-on-one custom in-person experience. So my experience has been that if you get really good at offering that one-on-one custom experience, you can not only get really good at creating the craft, creating the beautiful images, creating the kind of images that sell, creating the kind of images that you want, but you can create the kind of experience that people love, and all of your messaging can drive to it to help you find the people who want exactly what you are providing. Listen, I'm not the photographer for everyone. There are people in Chicago who want a totally different experience than what I offer. In fact, they might look at my marketing or my pictures and be completely repelled by it and be like, that is not what I want. And guess what? That is fine, because I provide such a specific thing that the people who find me who like it are going to say, I found exactly what I'm looking for. And those are the people I want to work with. There are 10 million people who live in Chicago. I can never take all their pictures, right? So I want to attract a certain demographic of people, a certain kind of person who wants exactly what I'm providing. And honestly, I want to repel the others. And I am totally okay with that. So I create a really specific message, a really specific experience. People who come love it, and the people who don't want it, they find someone else, they find another photographer, find another experience.
Awesome. So, what would you say to people who are having trouble booking and they want to make the leap from like, okay, this is a once a month, but like, oh, I would love to shoot like 2 families a week, or even 4. What would you say to those people who want to grow?
Yeah, and a lot of photographers find themselves in this space, right? So they maybe have a day job and they're taking just shoots on the weekends, which works out great because a lot of people want to have their picture taken on the weekend, right? Most people don't get married on a Tuesday at 9 a.m., right? Most people get married on a weekend. A lot of families, when mom and dad are off work, want to do a family shoot on the weekend, right? So there's a lot of people who have a day job and then are shooting on the weekends, but they, in their heart, they would love to quit their 9 to 5 and shoot full time. So this, if you're listening and this is where you're at, you're not alone. There's a lot of people who say, man, if I could quit my 9 to 5 and just shoot, just to run a photography business, that would be amazing. So it's a lot of things you have to have in place to be able to take that leap. But I don't think you have to have a full lineup of shoots before you do it. Now, I'm not going to tell you how to run your life or when you're ready, but I took the leap before I was ready. So I'll just tell you my experience, what I did. Literally, when I signed the lease on my commercial space, I had 0 emails on an email list. I actually had 0 pictures in a portfolio to use because all the pictures I'd taken before were actually owned by the studio I worked with, and I couldn't use those because I didn't own the copyright on those. I had no website. I had no furniture. I started from ground zero. And I mean, fortunately at the time I'm married and we were living off my husband's salary. So I was able to have a few months of no income to get started, which I know not everyone has, but if you can get yourself even a couple of months of cushions of savings, you can make this happen. So one of the things about doing it the way I did it was that it was sink or swim, right? I had to pay that studio rent no matter what. So it was like if I didn't get some money coming in, like I wasn't going to be able to pay the rent. And in a way, that was really scary and really hard, but also really great because I was forced to make it happen. I couldn't just dawdle along and be like, oh, I'll have one shoot this month, it'll be fine. Like, no, I knew I had to have a certain number of, I think it was 4 or 5 shoots just to even stay alive, like to pay the rent, right? So that forced me to put some stuff into place really quickly. The first thing I did was I invited a bunch of people to come in for a free photo shoot. Worked for free. I had 40 women come in those first few months that I was open, offered them a free photo shoot, showed them their pictures, asked them if they wanted to buy anything from them. Some people were like, no, I'll take the free pictures you offered and leave. Few people upsold, right? But what I got out of those 40 free shoots was a portfolio, right? And that's what I needed to show up to create a website and get my marketing started. So I don't know what position you're in terms of where you're at with your photography business, but if you can and you want this and this is your dream, jump in with 2 feet, get started, just get to work, do some free shoots, create that portfolio, and you can get the ball rolling quickly.
Awesome. Did you take out a lot of advertising, or was it all word of mouth, like your own network?
When I first started, I didn't know anything about Google ads and Facebook ads. I just was really naive about it. I didn't know anything about it. Now my business runs a lot on Google and Facebook ads. But when I first started, I didn't know how to do it. So it was probably, I think, maybe a year of running my studio before I got Google and Facebook ads running, just because I didn't know how to do it. If I could rewind the clock, I would have started those earlier because they have been really, really effective for me. But when I first started, I was like, I don't know how to run Google ads. I didn't know how to do anything. I didn't know how to run Facebook ads, right? So when I first started, the first thing I did was I literally called up people I knew and said, would you be willing to come in for a free photo shoot? Then I started sending out cold emails to people and saying, hey, I saw you on the internet and you're a hair and makeup artist and you're the kind of person I would love to have in the studio. Would you like to come in for a free shoot? Because I knew I needed to hire a beauty team. I wanted to offer hair and makeup services with my photo shoots, but I didn't have a hair and makeup artist to hire. So that's the first thing I did, was reach out to hair and makeup artists, asked them if they wanted a free shoot. And it was a free shoot. And at the same time, it was a job interview. You see how I did that? Had them in the studio. I gave them a free shoot. And then I also saw if they were someone I wanted to work with. from those free hair and makeup photo shoots that I offered, I hired my beauty team. So the women who I have on my beauty team who offer hair and makeup services at my studio are the same women that I met almost 5 years ago from offering free shoots, just DMing hair and makeup artists on Instagram and inviting them to the studio.
Oh, that's wonderful. So the next thing I want to talk about are the challenges in the business, like personally and in in reaching out. And we already talked about reaching out a little bit, but I want to talk a little bit about people who are maybe in rural areas, because I've talked to several or seen several posts where um people they don't live in densely populated areas. And I have my few suggestions for what I would recommend, but I wonder what you would recommend to those people.
For sure. So I have, in my mind, you can be successful wherever you live. Grow where you're planted. Yes, I live in a massive city of Chicago, but you can be a successful photographer wherever you're at. Here's 2 reasons why. Number one, people who live in rural areas love photos too. It's not like you are in a place where no one loves photos. Like photos, people love photos wherever they live. And number two, you can also create an environment and experience where people will want to travel to you. So I know of a photographer who literally lives in the middle of nowhere, who has like her house in a field. I mean, she lives on like land, like she owns acres. I mean, it's so different from here where I can like basically touch my neighbors on either side here in Chicago, right? And what she has done is created an experience where people want to come and get away from it all. And they come for the day to her studio, and she even does outdoor photo shoots on her land, and she has some indoor places too, in a building that she's built on her land. So people come, they drive hours to her secluded place because that's the vibe they want for their photo shoot. So when you start thinking, I can't be successful because I live in a rural area, I can't be successful because there's not enough people here, that's the first thing you got to overcome, is that mindset shift. Find some other photographers who live in rural areas, make friends with them, figure out like, how's it working for them? When you can see other people being successful, you can be successful too. It's hard to be what you can't see, and it's hard to be successful when you have it in your mind that you can't be. So the very first thing you got to do is get your head on straight. You got to know that you're going to make it work. Maybe your tactics are going to be a little different from mine, where I live in a big city, but maybe they're not. Maybe it's going to be, a similar situation. I meet photographers all the time who say something to me like, I can't be successful because of XYZ. I can't be successful because I have little kids. I can't be successful because I have a very specific niche that I want to shoot. I can't be. And you know what? Start there. Start with your mindset. I meet photographers all the time who are doing crazy stuff and they're crazy successful. When I say crazy, I mean unique, specific, and you can do it too. Just start there with your mindset, then start focusing your marketing to find the people who want to work specifically with you.
I'm dying to know what these unique niches are.
Okay, so I was just at a photographer meetup this weekend. I met a gal there. Her niche is taking pictures of rock star concerts. Like literally, I went up to her and I said, "Hi, what do you do?" And she's like, "I'm a rock star photographer." And I'm like, "You are a rock star. What do you take pictures of?" And she's like, "No, I take pictures of rock stars." So she has figured out how she has she's the in-house photographer, is how she described it, at a venue. So the venue hired, every time they have a concert, she's there. They're paying her to take pictures of the concert. And then in the off season, she's on the road with bands, right? So she is traveling. I mean, she's figured this out, right? So if you love something and you want to do it, there's a way to figure it out. There's a way to monetize it. I promise. You just got to dig in and figure out what's going to work for you.
Awesome. That is so fun. That is the perfect fangirl gig if your lifestyle can support that.
Yeah. And there are literally photographers, doing all kinds of things and being successful at it. You just gotta open up your mind to some possibilities.
Yeah. So
when I opened my studio, many people told me there's no way you can open a little boudoir boutique and be successful. It's just like, it's too niche, it's too this, it's too that, whatever. Like lots of people told me that. And I believed a lot of it. For a long time, I thought I couldn't be successful either. Because yeah, opening up a business is scary and hard, but it can be done. It absolutely can be done.
Awesome. So, can you talk about the mindset shift, or we've talked about personally between us before, like blocks that come up in business. Sorry, my dog is, he needs to be let out. Hold on, I'm gonna edit this out. So
You're fine.
I thought he could handle it, but he just can't.
Got a challenge too, girl. I get it.
Okay, so I've done some work with a mindful coach who does some coaching for business and personal blocks. And I know you've done the same. Can you share some of your experiences or the challenges you knew that existed, and then what you discovered that you didn't know?
Yeah, so money mindset and business mindset and mind blocks, it plays such a bigger role in our business success than I think we realize. So when I first started my business, I didn't know anything about, or I hadn't spent much time reading or learning about money blocks or money mindset, and I have learned so much. So especially as women, this affects us, I think, uniquely in ways sometimes it doesn't affect men. And I also think if you are in a creative business, that it does as well. So when you're a photographer, you're not just selling like a sweater that someone's going to wear and take home, right? You are selling art that you have created, you are selling an experience, and all of that is different than just a transaction, right? It feels different to have someone come in for a very vulnerable boudoir photo shoot than it just does like, hey, I'm selling you bananas and you're giving me money, right? It's just less, it feels less transactional. And because of that, the mindset and the attitude and the vibe that you bring into this really is going to affect your success. So, for example, I know a lot of photographers who have a hard time charging for their services for a variety of reasons. One, they think their pictures aren't good enough. I'm not ready to charge. I can't charge for this. It feels dirty or wrong to introduce money into this equation. Or they feel like, wow, I want women to feel so empowered and I want them to have this experience. I don't want them to have money being a barrier to coming in and having this experience. So the first thing to get your mind around, in my opinion, the first thing I had to get my mind around was, yes, I'm providing art. Yes, I'm providing a beautiful, empowering experience, but I'm also running a business, not a charity. Now, if you're running a charity, great. You're going to have to figure out how to fundraise and how you're going to keep the lights on at your charity. That's great. But I'm not running a charity. I'm running a business, and I provide a valuable experience that people are willing and wanting to pay for, right? So if I get weird about that, my client's going to be weird about it too. So if I start being like, well, I just don't know if I really want you to pay full price, or like, your client's going to feel that. And the energy transfer and the money transfer between you is not going to feel good. It's not going to feel good for you. And it's not going to feel good for them, honestly, either. Like, let's say you walked into the Gap and you brought a shirt up to the price register and they suddenly were like, oh, I mean, it just looked so good on you. Maybe we should like just give it to you. You'd be like, wait, what? Like, I'm at a store here. Like, this is weird. Why are we negotiating this? The price said $24.99. I just want to buy the shirt. Like, just let me get out of here, right? Like, it would be weird, right? But yet photographers introduce that weirdness all the time because they have a hard time accepting money for the experience and for art. So that is just like the bare minimum where you got to start. And maybe you're listening to this and thinking like, well, I'm totally fine accepting money for my services. Yes, but a lot of people aren't. You got to start there. I started there. I remember the first time I was in my studio and I'd done a photo shoot and I'd invited the woman to come in for free, but then I said, if you like some more of the pictures, you can buy some pictures. She's like, I want to buy an album. I actually really like these. And I remember she handed me her card and my hand was shaking so much I couldn't get it into the card reader because I was like, she's giving me real money. I don't know what to do. And in my brain, I'm like, don't freak out, don't freak out, don't freak out. And I put the card in the card reader and then it went through and it like actually charged money and I pulled it out and I was like, here's your card back. Because it was the first time I'd ever accepted money for my services. And I remember just feeling that moment of like real nervousness. But it is a mindset that she wasn't weird about it. She wanted to buy it. She wanted to pay for it, right? Like I was the one that had the money block and the money mindset, like that had to get over. So yeah, if you've never run a business before, if you've never accepted money before, or you're at a new level in your business and you're accepting a new level of money, you can, every time you kind of like level up, there's going to be some mindset work you're going to have to do to get to a place where things feel good and where you feel good about the energy and the money transfer that's happening between you and your clients.
Right. One of the things I've learned is that women specifically are maybe taught that their value is not in money. So as mothers and just, stereotypically, our value, we don't charge to be mothers. we are trained to expect nothing in return for what we do. So when we maybe make the leap from being a stay-at-home mom to a business person, it feels wrong to take money. Does that resonate with you?
Absolutely, it can. Yes. I was a stay-at-home mom for 7 years before I opened my business, and I had been socialized, from my family growing up and from society to believe like you that I should always offer everything that I do for free. And that any kind of like compensation was like maybe a little bit weird or wrong. And I can look back on that now and kind of trace where those thoughts came from and why I had them. And that's fine. And I loved being a stay-at-home mom for a lot of reasons. I'm not knocking that at all. I'm not saying that that was wrong in any way. But when I transitioned to being a business owner, I really had to do some mind shift changes, really had to change my thoughts about what I was doing, what I was offering, what was okay to charge, how it was okay to approach money. I mean, I even grew up with a lot of thoughts that money was bad, right? Money itself was inherently bad. Money's dirty. You should wash your hands after you touch money. Rich people are bad. Rich people are evil. Rich women, especially. Think about all the rich women you know from movies, whatever, like Cruella de Vil. All the, rich women are bad and evil, and I didn't want anything to do with that, right? But that mindset was not going to serve me well to try to open a profitable business.
Yeah. So how often do you work on those maybe blocks or meditations or the internal work that it takes to have success outwardly?
Yeah, I mean, it's a constant process. It's really been interesting for me. Once my eyes were open to the idea that I needed to work on my mindset, I realized, like, I think a few years ago, I didn't know that like my thoughts needed work, or that I could change them, or that I could kind of activate something in myself when I wanted to have a different mindset. Like I didn't even really know that that was available to me in some ways. When I first started my business, I wrote down a list of things that I wanted to be true. Things like people love to come to my studio and buy products because they are valuable and beautiful. People call me up and want to book with me because they want to work with me. Like these were not things that were happening yet, but I wanted them to be true. I provide a luxury service that people are willing to pay luxury prices for. Okay, so I made this whole list, and then I recorded myself saying them, and I would put my earbuds in and listen to them over and over and over to try to get myself to believe some of these things. It was a leap for me to get there. Like it wasn't happening yet, but I wanted to create that reality. And that was super helpful for me to try to listen to my own voice saying it, to write it over, to start to believe like I provide a luxury service. People will be willing to pay for it. It is good and right for me to run a profitable business, to accept money. And over the years, these kinds of daily affirmations and listening to things has helped me really kind of create the mindset and the business that I want.
Yes, and that's one thing that I wanted to bring to clients in my marketing business is the kind of elimination from the FOMO and the hype from marketing, because in the photography world. Like, I follow a lot of accounts, and what they show is just gorgeous. And it's a lot of content, and then you combine that with the marketing world, which is like strategies and hacking TikTok and posting 3 times a day and scheduling everything. And it's really overwhelming. So one of the experiences that I wanted to bring was a meditation and that calming work and collaboration, that there is enough success, there's enough clients in this universe for everyone to be as successful as they want, and also share information between a community that believes in their value and creating a beautiful product, and that they don't need to worry about anything else. And that if you eliminate those lenses of like a money block or I can't do this, or even just like the anxiety that sometimes it takes to put your face on camera or to show a behind the scenes or to do some of those like just recordings of you typing on the computer that people love, um that takes a lot of exposure. And if you're used to being behind the camera, your work is one piece of the equation, but it's the relationship between you and your client that you want to build. And if someone doesn't know you, it's harder to make that first phone call. Does that make sense?
Oh, absolutely. Everything you're saying absolutely resonates. So after I opened my studio, I've been running it for a few years, have been successful and wanted to, running the business the way I wanted it to. That's the reason why I decided to open up this educational platform, which I call Million Dollar Studio, because I really wanted to show other photographers that it was possible to be successful. I'm a mom. I've got 2 teenage girls. I'm not that special, and I wanted to show them that they could do it too. I think there's a lot of information out there about like, you're a starving artist. Like you're saying, there's too much you have to do. You have to post 17 times a day. You have to be special. You have to be a rock star photographer. Like, I don't know. But like what I wanted to, one of the reasons I wanted to open up this program and this educational platform was just to show photographers like this is possible. It's hard to be what you can't see. And even just being in a community of other photographers who are successful and seeing it can help you make those mind shifts.
Yeah. So one situation specifically was a photographer that I was working with was a midwife, and she did birth photography and
Wow.
pregnancy. And I thought, oh my gosh, she has clients like built into what she does. And she said, I'm just not that successful. And I'm not that experienced, but she's been doing it since 2017, which I think that's fairly experienced, and her photos are beautiful, but she wanted to book more, and I gave her some suggestions for packages that she may want to include. So what's some advice that you might have for her if she's in this pool of potential clients already? Do you think it's more a sales approach to it and confidence, or do you think it's maybe like a pricing issue, like, hey, I'll give you 2 images, and then if you want more, like, you can pay for them?
I mean, first off, what a cool career and what a cool place to be. I just think of her being there in that moment when women are giving birth, when I mean, just to be there. I read a thing once about how it used to be, even just 100 years ago, that women would be there for other women when they gave birth. And now we kind of get like siloed off at the hospital, and when I gave birth to my first child, I'd never seen a birth, right? And I think like 100 years ago, women would have grown up helping their older sisters and their aunts and whatever. So anyway, this is a little bit of a tangent, but just like what a privilege to be there in that moment when women are giving birth and to document it and capture it. Like, if you're listening, like, wow, what a cool thing to be there. There's absolutely a way to be successful with birth photography, with midwifery, to make that profitable. My first question for her would be like, what's your plan? Like, how do you bring clients in? How do you nurture them in the sense that you get them excited about the idea and they get to know, like, and trust you as their photographer? Because obviously birth is such an intimate moment. Like, how do you present yourself in a way to women so that they know, like, and trust you, that they want you there at their birth, at one of their most important moments of their lives, one's the most intimate moment of their lives? So what are you doing to get them to know, like, and trust you? Are you going live and sharing experiences? Are you in moms groups and offering up some of your expertise so that people see you and they think when they get pregnant, oh, I know that girl, Michelle, she talks all the time about this special way that she captures birth. So I would want to talk to her, So how are you doing that? Are you sending out emails that highlight, your specific way of working? Are you so how are you getting people to know, like, and trust you? And then once they call and talk to you, are you making it easy for them to sign up? I find this, so I'm sort of weird now, but every time I call for a service, whether it's like dryer repair, we had to get a new fence or whatever, I'm like, why aren't they making this easier for me to give them money? Make it easy for people to say yes and give you money, right? Do you have a way? We recently had to get our fence repaired and we had to call several people and I'm like, listen, why can't we get on FaceTime and I just show you the fence and then you say, yes, give me a deposit, we'll be out next week. Like, make this easy. Instead, we had to wait a week for a guy to come out and then it was like 2 more weeks before they gave the estimate and blah, blah. And in my mind, I'm like, I would have given you money if you'd made this easier. So anyway, sorry, I talk a lot. But my advice to photographers is always like, do you make it easy for people to sign up with you and give you money? If not, get a friend to look at your process and does it seem easy to them? Might seem easy to you, but a potential client, is your website easy? Are your packages easy? Is it easy for people to say, yes, this is the birth photographer I want? Then when you get to the experience, how are you making it easier for the mom? Obviously, while the mom is giving birth, she's not thinking about packages and buying pictures and whatever. So what is your process that you have in place? Are you coming back 2 weeks later to present them? Are you sending a gallery? Like, how are you making this easy for a mom who's focused on breastfeeding and healing and everything? She wants the pictures, but how are you making this easy for her? We could probably spend hours analyzing that, but that would be my first question. What is your process from A to Z to starting with cold leads who know nothing about you, getting them to know, like, and trust you, getting them to give you the money? Then is the experience easy? Is the product delivery easy? That's where I would start. It's the magic of profitability in photography, in my opinion, is in the process. Yes, you need to be artistic. Yes, you need to be personable and easy, but the process is where the profits are going to come.
Awesome. Thanks, Liz. That is so helpful. We have talked for almost 45 minutes, but I just wanted to give you a chance to share any projects you're working on now and about $1 Million Studios and what's next.
Yeah, so I am running my studio full time. I had 200 clients in the studio last year. I'm hoping to do even more this year, and that's what I love doing. At the same time, I'm running $1 Million Studio. And the great thing about $1 Million Studio, it's an educational platform, and I've got a great team that's also going to be working with you. So if you're a photographer and you want to learn how to take your studio from where you're at to $1 million a year, I can help you do that. So the $1 Million Studio has got 3 parts. It's got recorded videos and downloads that you can watch anytime on your own time. And there's 250 videos. There's tons of downloads, tons of content, copy and paste templates, contracts, emails, texts, all the things that you need to be successful. Then you can come live once a week and talk to me. So you can get your questions answered. You can get motivated. You can hear from other photographers what's working for them. And then there's also a Facebook group where any time of day you can go on and post things, get feedback. We've got a software solution for you that's going to handle all your leads and your automations. We've got a Google and ad Google and Facebook management service for you that you can do if you want to hook that onto your business as well. So what we have is just basically myself plus the partners on $1 Million Studio team to really help take your business to the next level. If you're ready for it, I would love to chat with you. We have an application you can fill out to see if your photography studio would be a good fit to work on our platform. We are just so excited the photographers that we're working with. We're hoping to have a bunch more coming on this year too. And that's what we're doing here. It's a full-time thing for me and my husband. We run this together. I do the photos. He helps with the back end with membership with $1 Million Studio. And then we have 11 other team members that you get to work with as well. So that's what we're doing this year. We're excited about it, excited about what's ahead. We're excited that the pandemic seems to have calmed down a little bit. Knock on wood. Everything seems to be in full swing again here in Chicago. So that's what we're up to. And we're just really loving helping photographers bring profits into their business.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Liz. I really appreciate your time, and hopefully people will check back soon for my projects here at Assured Marketing, and it's $1 million.studios, correct?
Yeah, just $1 Million Studio, no S. $1 Million.studio is the website.
Awesome. Thank you so much. We will be chatting soon. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sarah. It's great to chat.
Yes, you too. Okay, we can cut it there. Thanks, Liz. I appreciate it.
Yeah, I hope I didn't talk too much. I get talking, man.
No, you're fantastic. I love it.
Oh, I wish I could help. Well, anyway, photographers need processes and they're bad at it. Most photographers are artists and they're bad at running a business.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking, and I want to help them out. Like me as a business person, I think there's plenty of photographers who need help, and my price point like won't be that high, and I finally started finding like competitors in the space.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, which is super interesting. So I bought one.
Have you heard of these people? Let me see if I can
There's sorry, I'm like, do I have COVID or something?
Oh, I hope not.
I hope not too.
Okay, this person I wanted to send to you.
I'm really struggling with whether, like, I'll probably do both, but recorded content and PDFs. And then I think I would love to do like 1 hour sessions, maybe twice a week for a mindfulness meditation content creation in session, because I think if they come one time, they'll really like it. But sometimes I sign up for things and it's like, oh, office hours are open, and then you just kind of like get sick of going or whatever. So I might do like blocks of people, or I don't know.
Sure. Yeah. This thing I just sent you in the chat is an interesting thing. I don't know what they charge or anything, but I thought of you when I saw it.
Was it Market Noodle or something?
Mm-hmm.
I've never heard of that one.
I know, but it is interesting. So I just thought I'd send it over to you.
No, I'll check it out. What appeals about it?
It's a marketing company specifically for photographers.
Oh, cool.
So
well, I haven't come across them.
I know, that's what, when I found this, I thought I would send it to you.
Yeah, I mean, it's really good if there are competitors in the space, to be honest, because like that shows there's a market for it. There's
you can kind of figure out what they're offering and what your unique offer is going to be.
Right. Yeah, and I have a lot of other projects going on as well.
Mm-hmm.
So this is just part of it.
course. Yeah. So when I came across this, I was like, I'll send this to Sarah.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah. And if you find out anything about them, like that's interesting, fill me in.
Oh, sweet. I did send out a survey
Oh,
on
cool.
your sales Facebook group.
Okay.
I hope that's okay.
Of course.
It's not like, well, I mean, there's like 16 questions, but if you could just send that along to any photographers that you know or your Facebook groups or whatever, I would appreciate that. And then I'll share the results with
Sure.
the group.
Of course. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, that would be great. It's
What's
mostly
your
like,
husband up
are
to
you a
these?
photographer? Were you a photographer? What's your income? Like,
Yep.
what are your struggles? Stuff like that. So
Okay. Awesome. Yeah, for sure. What is your husband up to these days?
he
He
works
works
for Amazon.
Oh, he
So
works for Amazon.
yeah, so he's been there like 3 years.
So
And
when you go off and spend the night at a photo shoot, can you stay home with kids?
yeah, because it's remote.
Okay.
Like Amazon was fully remote. Like the offices downtown were just ghost towns. So now there's like this huge real estate thing in Seattle because like no one wants to be in Seattle, et cetera, et cetera. So he did go in the office like a couple times last week or the week before, and it was good for him to go in, but yeah, it's corporate, so
Yeah,
like a lot of depends what your. Is doing.
exactly.
How are things for you guys?
Good. Yeah, good. It is like snowing like crazy. We're not even gonna be able to leave the house today, I don't think. It's
Oh,
like snowing like crazy. Yeah, but things are good. Yeah, things are really good. We just hired another person. I gotta hire some. I am like underwater with how much I'm trying to do. And I can't keep this up. Like I'm basically running two businesses, because I'm doing the
you
photos.
are. Yeah.
And it's insane. So,
What
um,
are you looking to hire for?
probably have another photographer, honestly, because that's the thing I know it's the reason people come and hire me, whatever, but even if I just had an assistant, oh, someone's here at the door.
I can't
Even if I
believe you
just
don't
had
have an assistant. Yes.
I know, isn't that insane?
Yeah.
Even just an assistant at the studio. So I'm going to start there because actually I have a lot of other stuff outsourced, right? Like I have not a marketing gal, but she like studio manager. She answers the phones, right? And but the photography is the one thing I've kind of held on to as like my thing and I know it's like a mind block that I can't let go of it, but I need to at least have someone there helping because I'm just like I'm at the
So
studio basically full time, and then I'm trying to run this other thing full time at home.
my hairdresser was kind of the same way. Like he was cutting hair, he opened his own hair salon, he was teaching. His love was teaching others though, but he
Wow.
was good. So he
Yeah.
only had like a couple slots. So if people call and say, "Hey, can I get an appointment with Nick?" Say, "Nick's fully booked, but can I book you with blah blah blah?" And then, if they wanted to pay or wait, they could. And then he
Right.
would have his couple clients that he would always see. But
Right. Well, and even if I could just have someone there helping me move the lights around and like, I just need,
oh my gosh.
I just haven't even, anyway, that's the next, someone's at the door. I need to
Right.
go, but
Okay.
this
It's
was
been
great to
super nice
chat.
to meet
Thanks
you.
for
Yeah.
having me.
Thanks, Liz.
Okay. We'll talk soon. Okay.
Okay. Yep. I'll keep you posted. We'll talk soon.
Perfect.
Bye.
Yeah, okay. Bye.